Hello and welcome to the North American Guitar here in Fulham, London. And for this episode of Talking Guitar, I'm joined by my friend Tim Farrell, who's come all the way from the USA. He's spending some time here in London, and while he's here, I couldn't resist getting him over and setting up some mics for a TNAG session, which you will see also on our YouTube channel. Tim has played a couple of beautiful tracks for us. Thank you very much for that.
Sure, my pleasure. Thanks for having me here.
It's a joy, as always, to see you. So the two tracks that you played today, the first is called Joyride to Tranquility.
Yes.
And you told me at the end that you use a tuning that I think a lot of people have heard of, but it tends to sort of fly under the radar. Double drop D.
Yes.
Tell me about double drop D, Tim.
Double drop D is where you take the first string and the sixth string and drop them from E's to D's. So you end up with a D, B, G, D, A, and D.
Okay. Now I use a lot of DADGAD, but I've never really explored double drop D. What have been the advantages for you?
For me, I actually started using it out of necessity. I was working on a piece that I needed the lower D in the bass, right. And then the way I was working on the chords, I decided to give it a shot to lowering the first string too, and it worked. For me, it still keeps a little bit more of the brightness of standard compared to a DADGAD, which to me always like infers modal type sounds, where this tends to lean more towards diatonic major type sure. sounds, but still getting that little bit of extra resonance in there. You got three open D strings, so when you're playing in the key of D, it's pretty cool. As a matter of fact, the introduction of Joyride to Tranquility is just playing right down the strings open. So if you want to know what the tuning sounds like, you listen to the intro of that song.
We can do a duet for the first part, can't we, already? I see what you mean. It does have this... it's less in your face, isn't it, than DADGAD with the...
Yeah, I use DADGAD from time to time, but like I said, I do like that I can keep more of the major tonalities and major harmonies in there,
So about a year and a half ago, Tim released a beautiful record called Cascadia, and on it, it was mostly solo guitar parts, which is the sort of stuff that I really enjoy, but it also heralded the start of a new trio that Tim's been working with, and in fact there is an album in the works for StringSongs, isn't there?
Yes.
Now we are talking about, as far as I'm concerned, a very important piece of work potentially. We have some fantastic musicians on this record. One of my favourite bass players in the world, Michael Manring. How did that come about?
I met Michael, but I don't remember exactly when, but a bunch of years ago on the road, and we hit it off pretty well. We were doing a show together, and when there was a project I was recording of my album before Cascadia, Codas. There was a piece on there that I really felt like it would be really nice to have him play on. So when we had the chance to kind of meet up, we were able to do it, and we did a number of gigs together after that, and some workshops, that kind of thing. And then when it came time to do this one tune called Off the Cuff on Cascadia, I knew I wanted Michael on it. Oh no! Wait a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. When we were doing the sessions for Codas, I had some time left over in the session, and I said to Michael, I have this idea that's not complete. Let's jam on it. So we did. We jammed on this piece. We did it a couple times, and then it didn't. It wasn't really planned for the album. It didn't really fit on the album. And when it came time to do Cascadia, I said I want to use that. So we used the piece that Michael and I played live, and we added the piano to it, and it went on there, and that kind of formed that. It was the first time that we had this trio of musicians together, and since then we've done some gigs together, and it's worked out really well. And there's one of the things that's really cool and really different for me about playing with StringSongs is we do a lot of improvisation.
Right.
Which, as a solo guitar player, usually our pieces are pretty planned out and rehearsed.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. We don't normally allow ourselves to go out without that kind of safety net.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. You've also got Pat Robinson on piano.
Yes.
And it's StringSongs, you know,
right.
as you said earlier on. Not everyone associates the piano as a stringed instrument here, but how do the different registers work together? Because you've got the guitar, I guess, at the top, the piano potentially sprawling all over the place.
All across, yeah. Of course, with the guitar and the bass, we normally you have your own set rolls. When you're playing with Michael Manring, the rolls are gone. So, sometimes I'm playing lower than he is, and that kind of thing. And both of us play ebows on the instruments, But Pat with the piano manages to find how to color it around what we're doing. He's really good at that. He, finds those spaces, and he's got more of a jazz background, so you hear some of those jazz harmonies coming in there that expand what we're doing a bit. So it works out well because everybody hears what everybody else is doing, and
Well, and an improvisation background, that's absolutely vital.
Yes, of course.
So I'm assuming you're in standard tuning
for the most part. The song I mentioned off the cuff actually is in open E, right, with a partial capo at the 7th fret.
Okay. So when you say open E, we're looking at.
Yes, essentially but the open strings come out to that chord.
Okay,
so your third string is a G sharp instead of a G natural. Fourth string is an E instead of a D. Fifth string is a B instead of an A.
Okay. And that's putting quite a lot of tension on the neck. Are you getting your guitar set up especially for that?
I do. I use the Santa Cruz dreadnought for that, and it's the saddle, the neck, everything is set up for that, and it just stays in that tuning all the time.
So you mentioned your Santa Cruz dreadnought.
Yes.
You tend to sort of gravitate towards the more traditional body shapes, don't you? The dreadnoughts, OMs, that sort of thing. Why is that?
I actually grew up playing the dreadnoughts, and they're not generally considered a fingerstyle guitar, but that's what I grew up playing, and I got used to the big sound, and I ended up with the Santa Cruz dreadnought just kind of by accident. I was out shopping guitars, and that wasn't in my mind that I was going to get that, but the sound of it just spoke to me.
Lovely when that
sang
happens,
to me. So I've been using that guitar for 20 odd years. So and that's the one that's set up for the open E. It's a stock off the shelf rosewood Sitka spruce. And then several years after that, I had played at the Santa Cruz factory. I had played their 12 fret dreadnought. Which is a mahogany body, and I really liked it. And I asked Richard if he would build me one with a cutaway, because I wanted the axis above the 12th fret, and he wouldn't do it. He said he felt it compromised the design too much. So I ended up with a 14 fret dreadnought, but mahogany body instead of the rosewood. And then they made a 1 3/4 inch nut for me on that one. So. And that one I tend to use more in the lower tunings, just because of the tone of it, the mahogany tone. I use it for the double drop D. I use it for dagad, the times that I do play dagad.
Yeah, the dreadnought style, and a lot of people do get put off by the idea of it being a large guitar, and B, potentially boomy if you don't knock the back with your body. It's an incredible fingerstyle guitar. I grew up on them as well, and just apart from the tightness on the nut width, And there's so much going on in the Dread. It really is a fantastic instrument for this kind of music.
And I specifically asked them when I ordered the mahogany one not to have a boomy bass, so it's pretty well balanced.
So we've got to the stage of the interview that everyone I know has been waiting for on Tenterhooks. Tim, how do you do your nails?
I wait till I come here and I have you do them. I do them myself.
Right.
These are natural nails. I use a product that's over the counter called Hard as Nails, and it's a nail conditioner. It makes your nails thicker and stronger without having to use artificial nails. So I use that and I just shape them myself and keep it simple. I don't use particularly long nails.
Right.
My fingerstyle play really came from the few short years that I studied classical guitar, and that's where the strength in the right hand came from and that kind of thing. So as playing the classical guitar, I didn't really want the nails real long. You want a little bit of flesh and a little bit of nail, and I like that on the steel strings as well. So,
it's a beautiful attack.
Yeah, and I feel like I can get more of a variation of tone as well. You know, when they're a little shorter, I can dig in with the nail, or I can keep that mixture of nail and flesh. You know, it's a little tougher maybe to do the thumb style thing from Kentucky, but.
So as I mentioned at the start of this video, Tim has played 2 of his tracks, Joyride to Tranquility, and Because She Likes It, on a TNAG session, which you can check out right here. Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure,
My pleasure.
And great to see you and to catch up. You can find out more about Tim, the man, and his music at www.timfarrellmusic.com. So thank you for joining us, and as always, please like and subscribe to our channel for more videos of fine Lucy built instruments and the people who play them.